Okay, we're running a little late. I apologize. Would everybody please take their seats? We're going to start in about 30 seconds. Thank you. Shoot. There we go. We're going to go ahead and call the meeting of the Bloomington City Council to order. If would everyone please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for a moment of silence. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Alderman Lauer,
Here.
Alderman Sage,
Here.
Alderman Malumboy,
Here.
Alderman Burgess,
Here.
Alderman Painter,
Here.
Alderman Schmidt,
Here.
Alderman Black,
Here.
Alderman Hallman,
Here.
Alderman Fruin,
Here.
Mayor Renner.
Thank you very much. Here. We're going to go ahead and start with the introduction of Jean Hamilton, Library Director of Bloomington Public Library. Jean, come forward. Thank you, and welcome. We want to give you a round of applause. It's a big Bloomington welcome. Thank you, Jean.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here and to
Please come forward. Thanks. And if you tell us just briefly where you're from and a little bit about yourself.
So I'm most recently coming from Charleston, Illinois, and so I'm very excited to be here. I have family that's in the area, and so it's just a great community, and so I did spend some summers here during college, and so I'm excited to be back in the area, and I'm excited to work with all of you.
Thanks. We're looking forward to working with you. Thank you. Welcome. Take care. Thanks. And next we have a presentation by Art Miller from Mission Lifeline of the American Heart Association to the Bloomington Fire Department.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening.
How are you? As you said, my name is Art Miller. I'm from the American Heart Association. I'm the Mission Lifeline Director. And this is my second year in a row here, and I'm really happy to be here. So Mission Lifeline is a Heart Association's initiative to develop systems of care to work with heart attack patients. And one of the programs we began several years ago, 3 years ago, was EMS recognition. And so I'm here tonight to recognize the Bloomington Fire Department. This is their third year in a row winning an award. They're at the gold level again this year, and they've done some incredible patient care. System of care really starts with the patient. It goes into the 911 operators, often a very forgotten, very important part of the process, to the EMS members who initially get to the patient, to the emergency department staff, and then the cardiac staff at the hospital. So I would like to present an award tonight to the Chief, Mission Lifeline Gold Award. But before I do that, I also wanted to thank some of our other partners in this process, and that is OSF St. Joseph Hospital. And then we have Dr. Tumulty and Bev Glendon here from Advocate Broman Hospital, and Dylan Ferguson, who is from McLean County EMS. So, Chief, if you can come forward here, I'd love to present this award to you. It's a great honor to be here third year in a row. Congratulations to all the members of the Bloomington Fire Department and everyone else.
And they should deserve a round of applause.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Art Miller from American Heart Association. Appreciate you coming and presenting that award. But really, this is a community, a collaborative effort, and without our partners such as the McLean County EMS office, which we have one of the most progressive systems in the state, and we're blessed for that. Two wonderful hospitals to work with St. Joe and Advocate Broman. So, but most importantly, these individuals around you, the people that are in the field making decisions on a daily basis, that's what this is recognizing. So I want to thank you guys for all you do, and plus council and mayor, thank you very much for providing us with those necessary resources that are needed. Thank you.
Thank you. We're honored to have you and your entire team. I mean, you guys do incredible stuff for us every day. And I believe it's Alderman Sage at one point put it that you're in the business of when we're running out of our house, you're running in, right? So, and I've used that a couple times without attribution, by the way. But at this point, I'll use it. But thank you so much. If we could give you a round of applause again.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Okay, moving right along, we've got some people who are on the consent agenda for appointments. Some I know are in the audience. Valerie Dumser to the Citizens Beautification Committee, a reappointment. Valerie, are you in the audience? I don't see Valerie. The next is Jeff Brown, reappointment to the Board of Zoning Appeals. Jeff, are you here? I don't, but I do know Ryan Whitehouse is here with a really, really cool Bloomington tan. Ryan, would you please stand and be recognized? Thank you, Ryan, for willing to serve. Okay, next we move to public comment. We're going to start, we have quite a few people for public comment this evening. I'm going to read them three at a time if you'll come forward. Marty Seigel, William Gustafson, and Pete Pontius, in that order. Marty, would you come forward, and then William and Pete, would you please be ready? Followed by Elton Franklin. Good evening, Marty. Hi.
Hi. I'm Marty Seigel. In April, I learned there were plans to widen one section of Linden Street. The only prior notice neighbors could recall was in 2013 when the project was described as preliminary. In May, after the project had been sent to council, neighbors were informed that one section of Linden Street would be widened to the current city standard street width of 30 feet, which is standard in all new subdivisions. What does this mean? Can engineering then widen any street in the central city to conform to the standards in new subdivisions? Shouldn't we have a better reason? Does this mean that staff can make an expensive and arbitrary decision, inform some of the neighbors, and then, unless citizens rally in protest, expect the project to go through? I travel this section of Linden every day. There's rarely a car parked along it. Traffic moves freely, even speeds along this section. But the project would provide a parking lane and would require a number of utility poles on both sides of the street to be moved. This is not planning, and it pits citizens against each other. It's especially frustrating to see staff claim that the project meets the goals and objectives of the Bring It On Bloomington strategic plan. Strong neighborhoods, great place, livable, sustainable city, a well-planned city. How does a wider street, which creates parking where none is needed and creates opportunity for more trucks to enter into our neighborhoods, classify as improvement? Calling it an improvement doesn't make it so. At best, it's wasteful. It will separate neighborhoods from each other, and it will make it more difficult for children to cross the street to get to school. At worst, it will encourage more speeding, bring more trucks into the neighborhood, and encourage more projects that will harm the neighborhood. If allowed to proceed, this project will set a precedent for staff to independently develop projects that are not in the interest of the neighborhoods and expect them to be implemented. You clearly were not properly informed about this expensive and arbitrary project before it came before council, but you now have the power to stop it and to insist that a whole plan for the area be developed. Our faith in government depends upon you doing this. Thank you.
Thank you, Marty. William Gustafson, and then Pete Pontius and Alton Franklin.
Good evening, William Gustafson. It's nice to go inside to talk about the outside. I always think outside the box. I worked at Custer Brothers Nursery, probably 25, 30 years. So I love I love green space. So I wanted to present a proposal for the city and Green Top Grocery people, which obviously probably aren't here, that the green space be used for possibly something like a permaculture or agriculture, maybe a city park type of thing versus building a new store with 60 parking places, which is going to pay paradise and put up a parking lot. We have a local health food store already, Common Ground, which has been here for 39 years, and there's signs around says love downtown, and I thought, well, we need to love downtown unconditionally. And it's kind of like, well, whatever they're going to have at that store is going to be available. It's already available locally, so people don't have to spend $200 per share to save $200 in the long run. So again, I kind of wanted, I think some city funds are involved with this place there, procurement, whatever. So I don't know all the details of that, but I just wanted to present the idea that between Washington and Locust Street, there's a herb garden already by the Herb Guild, I guess. So there could be an extension of more plants there. Again, just the idea of using that for green space versus building maybe hatcheries there. If people wanted to like grow stuff in their greenhouse in the wintertime, they could grow microgreens, whatever. There's a warehouse there if they needed to, use a little more building space for, they could use that warehouse. But just the idea of seeing another building pop up for the purpose of, whatever. So again, I kind of wanted to encourage people and the city to send people to a local business already, which has been thriving in the downtown district for 39 plus years. And I think Kath probably should be commended some type of award. I know there's not many businesses downtown that have been there for 39 years. Let's see, last thing, I guess Cub Food kind of was there, it's got a food store. People went there. Cub Food kind of came and went. And then Naturally Yours, they kind of came and went. I said, Kath, you outlive Naturally Yours, So obviously she's doing something and consumers like her products. So again, I hate to see redundancy in building and structure and money. So that's what I wanted to present. Thank you.
Thank you. Pete Pontius, and then Alton Franklin, and then Bruce Meeks.
Good evening. My name is Pete Pontius. As you may know, I'm the Director of Loss Prevention and Compliance with B&B Amusement of Illinois. I've spoken many times in front of the Liquor Commission as well as last session of the City Council concerning VGT fees. I was made aware late last week that the VGT fees had suddenly moved forward on the calendar a week, as the last session of City Council that discussed it had put it for Committee of the Whole next week. So I was a little surprised when one of the council members emailed me to let me know. Earlier today, one of our attorneys that deals solely in gaming had emailed both Mayor Renner and George Broyles some suggestions and comments concerning the VGT ordinance that has been drafted. And I would hope that you would take those 5 or 6 points into consideration when you do write it. Again, the $500 fee I feel is exorbitant, and it should be matched with the town of Normal's at $200. As a longtime resident of both Bloomington and Normal, and living in Normal in Scott Black's ward, both the truck stops that we represent are both in Scott Black's ward, but we also have employees that are throughout the city, as does Pilot and TA. So please consider that when you vote for this, and consider making it easier on the little guy and reducing it to $200, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Pete. Alton Franklin, Bruce Meeks, and then I believe it's Adrian Cahey. Thanks.
My name is Alton Franklin. I live at 508 Patterson Drive here in Bloomington, Illinois. Oh, never a dull moment. First of all, I think the idea of the sales tax sharing, I'll unequivocally state I think it's a atrocious idea. It's not just bad. I'll stick my hand into your pocket, you stick your hand into my pocket. Doesn't really sound like a friendship reaffirming type of decision. quite frankly, I don't know where the idea ever came from that there is contention. I've never heard anybody speak that way. I mean, most of the folks I know either refer to it as Bloomington normal. Some people are kind of lazy phonetically and call it Blono, but I mean, what it still comes down to is we are a community. And there's a reason why there's a normal and there's a reason why there's a Bloomington. And quite frankly, I think that the division is a good thing because it allows for a certain distinction, if you will. I like to say I'm not normal. I'm quite eccentric in my ways, and my life has been, to say the least, a bit eclectic. But to come back to the point, I just don't see how it's conducive to good community relations to say, well, I'm going to subsidize you or you're going to subsidize me. In either case, you're going to get a lot of, I believe, bad blood from folks who feel like something is being taken. Really, as I said, I consider it an atrocious idea, and I really hope you'll rethink it. The other matter is in regards to video gaming licensing. For the record, I have received no financial remuneration. I am not acting on the behalf of anybody, myself as a citizen of Bloomington Normal. It's not exorbitant. It's, quite frankly, that's another atrocious decision. They take the risk. They provide the place to put it. The labor to do what they do with them, albeit minimal. Still, there are a number of things that the businesses already do, and they're entitled to the income from that labor. Is my humble view. Simply put, the ostensible reason for doing it to me is ridiculous in the extreme. We're told how, oh, by the way, crime rate's gone down, but because the crime rate is so bad, we need to charge $500 per video game machine. I'm kind of caught in a rather confusing juxtaposition here with trying to formulate both of those two things in my mind at the same time.
I'm going to have to ask you to finish now.
I understand. Quite frankly, this is another decision I hope that you'll rethink, and for God's sakes, give the small businessmen a break here.
And just to clarify, Elton, usually we don't respond, but just the council just previously voted not to consider the regional sales tax. Mr. Meeks, then. Thank you.
Bruce Meeks, Bloomington, Illinois. I spoke at the Liquor Commission meeting, and I got one of those statements. Hey, I want to clarify after you did your public comment. I don't think that's the appropriate decorum that we should have at these council meetings or commission meetings, comments from any member. Mr. Stockton, for those of you that are senior members, was very adamant about that and stuck to that rule quite well. Unfortunately, I was chastised, and I call it being chastised by a bully from the pulpit. I do not believe the video gaming tax licensing should be raised. I think it should be left alone. If it is raised, since I've been told many of you have already made your decisions before you come to a council meeting, if it is raised, how about we earmark it? How about we earmark it for the alcoholism and the gambling addicts? I'm not one. We had the EMTs up here earlier this evening, the fire department. I held the head of a man who died in my hands from an alcohol-related accident when I was very young. I think if you're going to raise the gaming fees instead of robbing Peter to pay Paul, that you look at your wants and needs and your priorities for this city, and that is quality of life. I was against the gaming license in the first place. Mr. Stockton and quite a few members of this council were initially against it. But you need revenue, and here's a way we can get it at other people's expense, whether it be alcohol addiction or gambling addiction. And here you're combining two in one establishment. As for the bad blood that was discussed earlier, we have over 100 agreements, I do believe, with the town of Normal. It's kind of hard to have bad blood when you have nuptial agreements between each other. And as for the tax sharing, my brother David Burdine Meeks drove very hard to get these cities to merge. I do believe it was in the early 70s. it failed at the ballot box. If you are really serious about regionalization, you should really discuss merging the cities. If you're really serious about sharing the revenue, you should seriously discuss merging the cities. I'm not for it, and I'm not against it. If you're going to have a discussion, you discuss the pro and the con. I think it's wrong for us to take on the tax burden with revenue sharing that Normal has, which is higher in debt than we are right now. I think it's just wrong. No staff's time should be wasted on the tax sharing. If you're going to waste tax time, why don't you draft up a referendum for merging the cities? Thank you.
Next is, I think it's Aaron Leahy, then Terry Worth, and Tony Wargo. Good evening.
Greetings from the mothership. I'm a hippie liberal that voted for Bernie Sanders. And I don't like talking about taxes unless we're talking about taxing the 1% and sending the bankers to jail. But y'all talking about sharing taxes with Normal is ridiculous. Ridiculous. Seriously, Normal. These people, their mayor just went on a German vacation to sell a factory that you guys sold. Now, they don't need no money. They're gouging those college kids coming and going, and we've known this for years. It's just they don't need the money. They really don't need the money. That's the way this goes. Seriously, if you want tax revenue, these guys are talking about video poker machines. I hate poker. I hate video games, but I love weed. And I know a lot of people in this town that chiefums big weed. Some of your neighbors smoke big weed. Let's talk about pot. Let's legalize it. How much money has Colorado gotten from tax money? This state is broke. We got jokes of every politician in this state is a freaking joke. And the answer is right in front of you. Go to a cornfield, plant some seeds. You can feed cows with it. You can power your car with it. You can smoke it, and it makes you feel better when your joints hurt, and then you don't have such problems with opioid problems. Tax the weed. Tell Normal to grow some pot. That's my bit. Thank you.
Thank you for your rather colorful remarks. Terry Worth, Tony Wargo, and Cecilia Tuchard. Tough act to follow, Terry.
Good evening. My name's Terry Worth, and I won't be as colorful. I want to thank you for allowing me to voice my opinion. I'm here because of video gaming and the fees that you're going to be voting on this evening. I am the treasurer for the American Hungarian Family Society, located at 1520 North Calhoun Street in Bloomington. We are a non-for-profit fraternal organization. It's been incorporated since 1919. We've been at the same location since that date. For the last 6 years, we've been operating in the red. We've used some of our emergency funds to keep the door open, and hopefully we will be able to continue to do so if we don't have the machines. When the law changed and allowed clubs to have machines, we saw a way to keep our club open. We received a license and the machines were turned on August of 2015. Prior to that, our club has never had an employee. All the help was donated by the members. We were only open on Thursdays and Sundays and special occasions. Having the machines require us to open at least 6 days a week, and that required us to hire bartenders. Currently, we have 3 part-time bartenders, approximate payroll of $2,000 a month. After you add in the taxes and insurance, we're around $2,500. After 9 months, our machine's income has been $25,758.65. Our labor has been $22,500. This leaves a net profit for 9 months of $3,258, which as far as we're concerned is not a bad deal, because if we can save $5,000 a year or make $5,000 extra a year, we can quit taking money out of the bank. We're trying to you're trying to put all the video gaming establishments in the same category. I don't believe any of you have ever heard this scenario. You hear the scenario where a guy's making $10,000 a month and $50,000 every 6 months. That's not us. A much more reasonable fee might be to charge $50 per machine for establishments that gross $50,000, $100 a machine for those grossing $100,000, and continue on up till you get to the much larger establishments that can operate 24/7. Those, I mean, if they can't afford $500 a machine, there's a problem. That's my opinion.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. Again, Tony Wargo and then Cecilia Tuchart.
Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for allowing me to speak this evening. I am not here to argue the fee. I think it's going to happen whether or not I or anyone else dissents to this particular fee. My questions are more towards the processes that go along here. At the April 25th meeting, I wasn't present for it, but I did watch it online. This issue was tabled for a committee of the whole meeting, as far as I believe. I think that's the terminology. And I just found out that it was scheduled for next week, but it apparently has been bumped so that this vote could occur this evening. I read through the ordinance proposal. Several regionally related communities were included in there, such as Springfield, Urbana, Peoria, and for some reason Elmwood. I don't know how that relates, but Champaign was excluded from that report, where Champaign does not charge a fee whatsoever. Was that purposely left off the report? I question as to why that would have occurred. And the Liquor Commission has proposed several times that the fee that is collected will be earmarked for the Police and Fire Pension Fund, but I also noted in the ordinance proposal that there's a possibility that the council could then include this in the general fund. My question is where is the continuity here? Where does the things that are said at one meeting happen at the next meeting? Why are we then doing things differently than what we said before? We're sitting here asking our publicly elected officials in a public forum to tell us one thing, and then they're done a completely different and opposite way of what you're saying right in front of us is going to happen. I firmly believe that there's too much gray area in this issue yet for there to be a knowledgeable and educated vote to be taken, and I kindly ask that the council would discuss that and do such at that time. I brought my daughter along with me this evening so she could see what city government is supposed to be and supposed to do. I would hate to walk away from this meeting or any other meeting and tell her that the people that we cast our votes for are doing something different than what they've told us that we would do. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Cecilia Tuchart? Did I pronounce that correctly?
Yes,
Oh.
Tuhart.
Oh, I apologize.
That's okay. No problem. My compliments to the open mic session being open to all of the meetings. I like the idea of the open mic because it gives the exchange allowed for the community, that people would also hear what is going on in the community based on that gentleman's opinion of a past meeting. That's important. The continuity is very important. I own a company here in Bloomington, and it the genesis of it started in Bloomington. And I am very thankful for Bloomington Police and Normal Police for protecting me in my endeavor, as it's a religious endeavor. I hope to put Bloomington, Illinois on the map for the Pope, my Holy Father, in the Roman Catholic Church in Rome. I'm hoping that he'll buy the company that I own and that we can distribute the garments that I've, designed. And I'm thinking of other garments too. So I hope there's a good future with the Pope and the project, and that it stays in Bloomington where it was born. And I hope that it helps Bloomington and it can provide the solve maybe that is needed for Bloomington as a community, and as it would, I think, for any community. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Again, just to, for everyone to clarify, if you'd like to come and actually engage in some sort of dialogue and get answers or perhaps even solve problems in real time, we have a mayor's open house Friday before Monday city council meetings. We sit right over there, and you're certainly welcome to come. You can talk about any item that's on the agenda or something that's not on the agenda, any perspectives that you have. And I want to thank Alderman Scott Black for taking care of that when I was out nearly killing myself in whitewater rafting in Pennsylvania last week. So thank you very much. Let's move right along then to the consent agenda. Are there any items that any member of the Bloomington City Council would like to have removed from the consent agenda? Seeing none, is there a motion to then approve the consent agenda as presented?
So moved.
Moved by Alderman Black.
Second.
Second by Alderman Howman. Alderman Fruman?
For the consent and the regular agenda, I have not received any monies or financial benefits from any of the individuals or organizations referenced in these specific agenda items. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And actually, I didn't start the voting here. I apologize. My friendly neighborhood millennial, what am I doing wrong? Oh, okay. Voting controls, maybe? There, hey, even I got that. Okay. Oops. Okay. Well, we're voting in real time, so I think it. But, all right. Yeah, it's. You're the only one who has it. Yours isn't on. I've frozen you, Scott. Okay. I tell you what. Let me clear this, and let's go back to this. I apologize, there, Scott. Why isn't? Okay, there we go. We may have to take yours by proxy, man. Is it Cook County? Okay, we can take his by voice vote. You're going to vote aye on this controversial consent agenda? Yes. Okay, so we have the motion is carrying 9-0. There are no nays to announce, Madam Clerk. And I really didn't tamper with that, honest. This isn't Chicago, you're right. Okay, moving right along, we have a public hearing petition submitted by Brian and Jessica Sarek requesting approval of an annexation agreement for the property commonly located west of Sarek Drive and south of 6 Points Road, approximately 2.12 acres. And I'm going to go ahead and call the meeting of the public hearing to order. And we have a brief staff presentation, and then we will have public comment. If you are speaking in favor or opposed to this particular annexation agreement after we have the staff presentation, if you would please line up and come forward and sign in, you will have up to 3 minutes to speak. Mr. Dabriner, thank you.
Oh, okay, it did appear. Good evening, Mayor and Council. I have, with the help of Mr. Sprouls in the back, I've placed a location map on the upper right-hand side, and then a map that shows the location of the property with regard to the surrounding properties and their zoning. We are looking at a 2.12 acre site just off of Zarek Drive, as was mentioned. You can tell generally where the location is, south of 6 Points, west of Morris. The property is eligible to be annexed. It is adjacent to incorporated portions of the community. To the west, it's zoned R1A, single family, and to the east, it's zoned R1B, single family. So this is actually a pretty straightforward request. The petitioner wishes to build a single-family home on the property. The annexation would allow the extension of water and sewer to the site. And before you tonight, we've got 3 separate actions going on. The first is the public hearing, of course. Secondly, the approval of the annexation agreement. Third is the adoption of the ordinance to annex and rezone. I will be giving the exact same presentation 3 times. I'm kidding about that.
I think we'd have a point of order at that juncture.
Well, the annexation process is actually very strictly defined by state law. And of course, we followed state law on all of this, and here are our findings. The property does meet the eligibility requirements for annexation. The annexation agreement provides which is the next item, provides for the obligations of the city and of the landowner, focusing on, provision of water and sewer, provision of the rezoning by the city and the fees that are to be charged. Third item tonight is the ordinance that would complete the annexation and the rezoning to R1A, which is appropriate. Again, it's adjacent to R1A, and given the large lot size, it makes a lot of sense to give it the R1A single-family zoning. I do want to mention one thing about the annexation agreement. We've had some questions about the provision for the dormant special service area, and that is really just protection for the city should we decide to install a road adjacent to the property. I don't have a dollar amount for that fee, but the special service area would allow us to go in and collect it. Otherwise, it's due at the point of annexation. So this is making some accommodation to the property owner. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Okay. Questions of Mr. DeBreiner? Wow, that's pretty impressive. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I'm just prepared to make a motion.
Oh, you have the floor.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
That's right. Bad mayor. Okay. Thank you very much. Are there anyone in the audience who would like to speak either in favor or against? Yes. Alton, would you please come forward? We know your address and everything.
I would know by now. No, I actually, I'm kind of neutral on this. My only question is, given the history of the city and dealing with development, my concern is I haven't heard anything about the cost factors of here. How much is it going to cost the citizens of Bloomington for this property to be annexed, for the plumbing to be run, for the sewage line to get in, all the extensions that were mentioned? How much is this going to cost us? In the past, we've been, to be quite blunt, reamed a number of times by developers. And while I don't know if this individual is, the party here is concerned as a developer or not. Again, I'm trying to look out for the citizens in regards to the cost. Thank you.
Fair question and good point. Mr. DeBrenner, would you like to come forward? Excuse me, are there any other people who would like to speak on this? Yeah, okay. If you'd come forward after this. Tom, would you go ahead and address that question?
Sure. I don't have the actual dollar figures, but part of the annexation process includes fees so that the extension of the utilities to that property are paid for by the applicant.
As opposed to taxpayers.
As opposed to
To
taxpayers.
address Alton's chronic.
Mayor, and we're jumping ahead, but it's germane to the question, right? In the staff report, it clearly says, the petitioner is required to pay the following fees: sewer, water, parkland fee in lieu, and annexation fee, which is what I think you were trying to say, Tom.
So maybe I can give you just a little bit of background. I actually spoke with Brian Scritchflow, who is on the planning commission, and we talked about this. A little bit of background here. This is not a developer. This is a family, third generation, young couple building their own home. And as I understand it, all fees will be paid by the private entity. So should put things to rest here.
Right. Thank you. Thank you very much. And there's another gentleman that wanted to speak. Would you please come? Tom, maybe if you stay handy just in case you can answer some questions. Yes, sir. If you'd come forward and please sign in and state your name and address, please.
I'm Brian Zarek, live at 1418 Six Points Road, the owner of the property, want to annex it in, just single family. They commented on all the concerns, so I'm good now.
Okay.
The cost and fees, they've all...
Right. Thank you so much. Make sure that we have the record straight. Thanks. Oh, there was no sign-in sheet? Okay, but we do have you have the information, Madam Clerk. Thank you, Alton. Thanks. Okay, at this point, I wonder if I could have a motion to close the public... Oh,
I think you just closed it.
I just close it, okay. I just close it. Wow, okay. The public hearing is closed. And at this point then, is there a motion?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I will move for adoption of the ordinance as presented for the annexation agreement for the
Okay.
property.
For
noted.
9A?
Item 9A on Zarek Drive.
Do you want to do 9A and B?
Sure, I don't want to create any administrative issues,
As
but
long as that's...
certainly then I would move
Since they're
for
together.
council approval on both agenda items 9A and 9B as presented.
And I'd like to second those.
Second by Alderman, Lauer. Any further discussion? At this point, go ahead and... Voting is working at this point, except for Alderman Black.
This is actually dead. He has no power.
Yes.
Okay. I think Scott did it, not me. Anyway, so your yes, okay, so the motion carries 9-0. There are no nays to announce, Madam Clerk. We will move forward to our next action item, 9C. There's actually, if I could ask Mr. Jordan,
Mayor,
Oh,
could
I'm
I
sorry.
just,
Oh, I'm sorry.
a point of privilege, I want to
Of course.
just mention one thing. As brought up earlier, as corporate counsel was looking back at the minutes, previously there was a motion made by Scott Black back in April to have this placed on a committee of the whole meeting. There was an oversight in that it's coming to you tonight on the regular agenda as opposed to next week. So one, we wanted to make you aware of it. Corporate counsel is suggesting one thing, if the council is ready to discuss it tonight, and again, you always have the option of not acting on it, it probably would be best for Alderman Black to make a new motion to put it back on the table for tonight.
Or if he prefers to go to the next meeting. Yeah, again, I didn't know, I didn't recall. The thing that I recalled, I think, is that this was on as an action item to the longest council meeting I've ever presided over, and it was the last one. And rather than act on it, we were all tired, and we just said, hey, let's postpone this to within the next 60 days. So, but it was specifically to a committee of the whole, that's correct?
Yeah, within
Okay.
60 days, I think that was.
So, so it might be in the interests of, since there at least was one person who had, assumed that it would be discussed at a committee of the whole meeting, but that could be still shifted to a special meeting if we wanted to discuss and act on it?
And in fact, it's, just because of some issues that have come up, we'll probably look at having a special meeting next Monday as well as committee of the whole.
Okay.
But once again, the motion could be made to discuss it and even act on it tonight.
And I have to be the one that does it?
Yeah, actually, hold on.
Do I have to be the one that changes it?
Was that, and again, I'm just asking so was your intention to just, to postpone it or to postpone it to just discuss it again?
My intention was to put it on a committee of the whole agenda so we could have a council discussion before we made any more just final decisions.
Okay. Alderman.
But I'm sticking with that.
Just backing up, Scott, I think that's procedurally the best thing that we could do.
Okay, so at this point, would you prefer then that Alderman Black, you want to postpone this till next week?
I want to stick with my original motion from April where it goes to the committee of the whole meeting.
Okay, is there a second on that?
Second.
Second by Alderman Schmidt. Excuse me.
Just a question, and then, so is our intention then to vote next Monday night then?
No, I was...
Well, what I heard was special meeting possibly on next Monday.
Well, and again, it will probably have both, because there is some action, as we'll get into in a minute, on a liquor license fee that would recommend the council consider next week. So there will be a special meeting, but there would also be a committee of the whole next week.
As I am understanding this, is Scott's making this motion, so we talk about it rather than act, because otherwise we could just act tonight.
I was just clarifying, because when I heard special meeting and COTW next week, I thought the special meeting could incorporate what Scott was suggesting.
It could, but I think the spirit of it is pretty clear.
I'm clear. We're not going to vote on this next week. We're going to talk about it. Special meeting is related to another vote. Thank you.
We have a procedural issue as well.
Cherry. Yes, sir.
Mr. Hale, the special meeting would need to be held this week, either Thursday or Friday.
And that's a second topic. That's
a different.
I was
That's the
thinking
second
of there's two liquor license issues. I was just
the liquor
referring
license
to the
issues,
one.
we just have to work to get 5 people together to approve this.
Yes.
This is a separate
Separate.
issue. Yeah.
Apologies.
No, that's cool. Alderman Lauer?
I was just trying to help you.
Okay.
So, where's the Thursday, Friday thing?
This is a separate issue. Sherry had just talked to me about this for about a total about 45 seconds, maybe not even that, before we came in here. We will need to get at least 5 council members, I guess, together at some point later in this week to approve something that it should be a routine liquor issue that is absolutely unrelated to this item.
So they are completely divorced of each other.
Divorce. Severability. Okay.
So do we need to take a formal action to remove this from our agenda?
No, at this point, it's just, I think we're just having the motion that was made to table it to next week for a committee of the whole.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's it. Right? Jeff, we good?
What's the previous motion, or you could just adjourn?
Okay. Well, at this point, we do need to vote on this. If everyone could. We don't need to vote on this?
No, the previous motion would stand, and you could just go ahead and adjourn.
Okay, I don't think anybody's going to mind if we have a 48-minute meeting. Is there a motion to adjourn? Okay. That's right. Yeah, it's all right. Yeah, okay, you did. So did I, too. I thought, geez, 48 minutes. Gosh, we're almost like normal. Bad joke. Okay. Okay, I'm not even going there. City manager's discussion.
Thank you, Mayor, and would like to bring to your attention the need for a special meeting this week. And Cherry, would you first kind of comment on what the matter is, which could be a very, very quick special council meeting, probably in Thursday or Friday, but please explain our situation there.
Sure. On Tuesday, May 10th, the Liquor Commission had approved Signature India, BLM Inc., doing business as Signature India, located at 1407 North Veterans Highway, for a request of an RBS liquor license, which would allow the sale of beer and wine only by the glass for consumption on the premises 7 days a week. However, that item did not come to council this evening, and Mr. Thoda came to my office today to notify me that the item was not on the agenda to be heard by council. It was an oversight by the clerk, and so I'm requesting that council hold a special meeting to consider this item. And the reason why I'm requesting a special meeting is because Mr. Thoda had advertised an event that is going to occur, I believe, on Sunday for Father's Day. And so he has spent, I guess, a considerable amount of money to advertise the event, and he did not want to waste or lose the money that he has put out there already.
And this is not one of those things that I, as a liquor commissioner, can just sign. So that's why we have to have council approval, and we don't have to have everybody, but we need 5
At
votes.
least 5 members.
Or,
yes.
right.
And it can occur at any part of the day, be it morning, afternoon, or in the evening.
And it can be all of 3 minutes.
And Mayor, what we can do is either now or later on, just do a doodle poll, find which of those dates and which of the times would be best to at least get a majority together, whether it's early morning, over the lunch hour, late in the afternoon. So we could poll you and see when we could at least get a quorum together to act on this. But the soonest we could do that is after 48 hours. So we're looking at sometime Thursday or Friday.
Okay, all righty. Thank you very much. And the only thing that I would have is to thank Scott Black for, again, taking care of the mayor's open house on Friday. And I haven't had a chance to chat with you at all about what happened in that exciting episode, but I appreciate it very much. Alderman, any comments? Amelia.
Yeah, I had two issues that I'll just address briefly. Number one, I think Marty Seigel, who commented during public comments, has gone home. I appreciate her coming to talk to us today about her concerns about the widening of Linden. It's an issue that she and I have talked about at length. She's also talked with Jim Karch. I'm sure if anyone on council has any questions, that Jim would be happy to answer those. Marty does raise some important points about whether or not we're sufficiently integrating our community development and community planning activities with our public works activities, and I hope that we as a council can talk about that moving forward. But otherwise, specific questions I think can be answered by Jim. The other thing I wanted to bring up is, it occurred to me several items we had today and that we have pending, such as the sales tax sharing proposal, the video gaming fee, bulk waste, which is still kind of out there. I personally think could really benefit from perhaps going back to more of a formal committee structure where we can have those kind of informal brainstorming sessions. Obviously, it would still have some structure, but to get some of these more preliminary conversations away from this very formal setting of the council meeting, so we have a little more flexibility in our activities. I know many of you have served under a committee structure. To me, it seems appealing. I'd be curious to see what you all think about going back to that, if it would be more efficient of our time. So I just want to throw it out there. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Alderman Black.
Thank you. So I just wanted to remind everyone it's Beer Fest this weekend, and that I have a couple council members here. Jim and Diana are going to be pouring with me on Saturday for the Friends of the BCPA. So come out and see us.
Scott, this is an event you can walk to and from, right?
That's correct. Yes, just right down the street.
It's a great community involvement activity for you, right?
Constituent services, getting out there with the people.
Alderman Lauer.
Scott, I'm volunteering. Joanne and I will be happy to help out if there's anything that we can do to help you.
Great, thank you.
We'll be around, okay? I think we've had a good discussion tonight. I think we all need to think more deeply about how we're affecting our local business environment, though. It is a difficult situation. I know many of you have not had the ability or been directly involved with small business. It can be a day-by-day type of situation, and jobs depend on this. And so it's very important that we remember, even in an issue like this, when we add fees, it not only adds to the bottom line of that business, but it adds to the tenuous environment that they are currently operating. And so it wouldn't matter whether it was a tax on their utilities, a license fee that we're raising, or property tax. If we're not giving them enough advance notice, there's no way for them to plan ahead. And so I just want to emphasize to all of you that this is very, very important to our business community and the employees that they pay and represent. Thanks.
Thank you. At this point, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Moved by Alderwoman Schmidt. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alderwoman Howman. All in favor signify by saying aye. We're adjourned.
Have they gotten through that public comment?
I haven't heard. I think he's still under the public comment window.
All right. Well, I thought